Hello, I'm Amy Zewe with the Jerusalem Connection Report Friday Red Alert for September 9. Campus Update. Students have returned to schools and college campuses and university grounds across North America and Europe now that we've hit September of 2016. I'd like to report on a couple of disturbing incidences on college campuses. UCLA's president of the Graduate Student Association is a gentleman named Milan Chatterjee. He transferred to NYU for this semester because of enduring bullying and harassment by BDS activities. Keep in mind, Milan is not a Jewish student or an Israeli, but a Hindu who was the president of this association. He decided last year to rescind funding for a student town hall because pro-Palestinian BDS activities were going to use the forum to encourage BDS actions on the college campus. In an effort to remain politically neutral, he rescinded the funding. He was met with a barrage of harassment and bullying, including lawyers' letters. As well, the administration of UCLA was bombarded by BDS organization lawyer letters. As a result, the administration then began to put the pressure on Milan as well, sanctioning him and calling him out for oppressing freedom of speech. It's ironic, Milan says, that the UCLA campus is telling him that he's violating university policy to maintain political neutrality at events when A, he has evidence that even administrators say they do not necessarily apply that policy all the time, and B, in fact, he was maintaining the neutrality, which is why he rescinded the funding. He could take no more, and he transferred to NYU. Now, last year, NYU's student body actually passed a BDS supportive action. The president there vetoed that and overturned it, relaying the anti-Semitic and hatred-based intent of those actions. The result of this was opening up of a new dialogue regarding the issue and understanding of Jewish students on campus. Therefore, Mr. Chatterjee said that he felt welcoming arms at NYU and he felt that they can relate to his situation. Mr. Chatterjee also noted that the BDS movement is anti-Semitic, is hateful, and coddled and in collusion oftentimes with college administrators, and he could take no more. He also publicly stated that it is a quote-unquote shame that UCLA has become such a hostile environment to Jewish students and supporters of Israel in general. At Syracuse University, an Israeli filmmaker, incidentally, who teaches at NYU, named Shimon Daton, was invited to screen his documentary about the West Bank settlements. Incidentally, here, the documentary wasn't necessarily a flattering portrayal of said settlements. However, the BDS activities and supporters and their faculty got wind of this invitation and provided quite a pushback to Professor Hamner of Syracuse. They wrote him letters that the BDS students would not react well with this and make things quote-unquote very unpleasant. While this is a veiled threat, to say the least, Mr. Hamner then sent another letter back to Professor Danton and told him not to come and screen his film, and he apologized profusely for the mix-up. Now, this is not a good thing because in the spirit of academic freedom and public discourse, you can't invite a filmmaker who they haven't even pre-screened his work to know if there's any real controversial topics of discussion. Indeed, to simply rescind the invitation because he's Jewish and because other people would cause a quote-unquote unpleasant ruckus, this is no good reason for a professor to rescind an invitation to a university event designed to screen documentaries and discuss their content. In the end, the invite was then reaffirmed. Professor Hamner sent another note saying that he apologized for the rescission and that he acted in political naivete and not a great amount of courage in dealing with the potential pushback. But the irony is still there. Blind hate simply underscores all the activities of the BDS movements on campus. They don't even have to know what the real content is or the real issue at hand. They just have to catch wind that it's a Jewish professor or an Israeli professor or speaker or author, and all of a sudden they are like temper tantrum 3-year-olds just causing a lot of quote-unquote unpleasantness and bullying administrators into meeting or acquiescing to their desires to stifle the conversation. It is our job as funders of a lot of universities, whether we are parents of children in universities, whether we take our own classes there, whether we support our alma maters, or whether we're taxpayers and we're looking at public universities, to not let this activity and this one group of coddled students who don't even have a true assessment of what's going on in the Middle East simply run the show and marginalize and even demonize Israeli artists, authors, fellow teachers, faculty members, and fellow students who feel a tremendous amount of hostility on various campuses. So keep your ear to the ground, read your local newspapers, and support people who are fighting for the truth as much as possible. Groups such as Stand With Us and the American Jewish Committee are groups that work on evangelizing the truth about Israel on college campuses. Google them, research those, and see how you can support their efforts to stop the BDS movement on college campuses. Shavua Tov, have a great week. Shabbat Shalom.